If you're an online fitness coach who struggles when somebody says on a sales call that they need to speak with their partner, I want you to think about it like this. When someone says they need to speak to their partner, sometimes it can be genuine, but other times it can be a smoke screen where essentially they are just scared to tell you that they're scared to do the program or scared to tell you that they don't like the sound of the program. So instead, what they do is they resort to an objection that they don't think you're going to challenge, such as, I need to speak to my partner. Because in some cases, people then feel awkward saying, do you really need to speak to your partner? Because it can come across combative, it can come across as salesy. So there's a few different ways you can take this, but you can really mess up the relationship and the rapport you've built with the prospect if you come in too hot, heavy, and hard when you ask this question, because they might get their back up and say, hey, if I want to speak to my partner, let me go speak to my partner, bro. So I want you to take the edge off. And here's how you do it. You say, all right, well, let's pretend your partner was here on the call with you right now and they heard everything we just said. Just between us, do you think they would say you should go ahead? Or do you think they would be saying, no, let's not do this? And then often people say, or would say in this situation, oh no, I think if they were here, they probably would say, I should do it. So then you can laugh and just say, cool, so shall we do it? And you see how if you laugh, you can kind of keep it quite light and breezy and less like awkward and salesy. But let's say they've still got an issue with that. Then what you would say is, okay, well, how about we do this? If you pay now and you go and speak to your partner and they are really pissed off with your decision, I can just give you a full refund. Is that fair enough? And you notice how what we're doing here is just mitigating the worst case scenario, because their biggest fear is, what if I pay and go away and speak to my partner, and what if they're pissed off? So now if you give them a solution to that being the worst case outcome, they don't really have any logical reason to not say, you know what, I will pay now, and if they are pissed off, as long as I get a refund, then fair enough. But let's say they're adamant that they really do need to speak to their partner. I've realized in these situations, and I've probably burnt quite a few potential client relationships doing this, so I've learned the hard way. If you push too hard and they really are quite adamant they want to speak to their partner, you can end up just like burning the relationship. So sometimes when it feels genuine, and if you've pushed at least 1 or 2 times, you're better off just saying, you know what, I completely appreciate you want to speak to your partner. Let's grab a call either with me, you and them, or just me and you once you've spoken to them, either later or tomorrow, which is better for you. And then go in and get that second call booked in. And in our world, inside FBC, inside the mentorship, we call this BAM fam. This is the rule of booking a meeting from a meeting. And if you do that on a regular basis, even if they do go away and they speak to their partner and their partner says no, you've at least got that date in the diary that they're more likely to come back to you with an answer, rather than saying, oh, I'll come back to you soon, and you never hear from them anytime soon, right? One final kind of bonus tip I'll give you is make sure that earlier in the call, because the last thing you want is at the end of the call, they say they need to speak to their partner and you say, oh shit, I didn't even know you had a partner. I didn't even know your partner's name. Make sure at the beginning of the call, you find out if they have a partner, and if they do, does your partner need to be here? So at the very beginning of the call, you'd just be saying things like, cool, so tell me a bit more about you. Have you got a partner? Have you got any kids? Where are you based? Oh yeah, I'm based in London. I've got 2 kids and I've got a partner, husband, right? Oh, cool. Like, how old are the kids and what's your partner's name? Oh, you know, my partner's called this and my kids are called this. Oh, your partner's called Steve. Okay. And then you make a note of that. So that every time you reference Steve, you don't say, oh, what do you think your partner will say? You say, what do you think Steve would say if he was here on the call right now? So just to recap, number 1 is on the sales call at the beginning, make sure that you find out if they have a partner. And then number 2 is make sure before you just like take that as an objection where you think, oh, I can't say anything. I want to remind you that some of my best clients that almost didn't join the program gave me the partner objection. And then later they went on to tell me that it was bullshit. And they're so glad that they signed up, and they're so glad that I called them out on using that as an objection. So something to consider. So if you found this useful, like the video, subscribe for future videos, and message me on Instagram at Fitness Business Coaching if you want to learn more about working with us. Just DM me the word YouTube. I'll know where you came from, and we could just have a frank conversation to see if or how I can help you scale your online business. And I'll catch you on the next video.